For the first time in Bravo history, the Real Housewives of New Jersey Season 14 will not be having a reunion, presumably due to unresolved tension between Teresa Giudice and Melissa Gorga. Melissa and Teresa have been fighting since they were first seen together in Season 2, but their most recent fight in Season 13 delayed the filming of Season 14 and is now rumored to be the reason the reunion was cancelled. The show has historically offered incredibly dramatic and memorable reunions to hold its place as one of the best Bravo reality shows. Teresa has been part of the cast of The Real Housewives of New Jersey since Season 1, whereas Melissa officially joined the cast during Season 2. Melissa is married to Teresa's brother, Joe Gorga, which makes Melissa a sister-in-law to Teresa, despite neither of the two ever harmoniously coexisting with each other for longer than a few seasons of the reality show. Although many of the cast members do not get along, the conflict between Melissa and Teresa has escalated to the point where neither can sit in the same room. Melissa and Teresa do not interact at all in Season 14. Things reached a breaking point after Season 13. At the end of The Real Housewives of New Jersey Season 13, Melissa and Joe decided not to attend Teresa and Louis Ruelas' wedding, which caused their most recent blow-up. Teresa was previously married to Joe Giudice, the father of her 4 children, who was forced to be deported back to Italy after serving his prison sentence of 41 counts for mail, wire, and bankruptcy fraud. After coping with the dissolution of what appeared to be a tumultuous marriage on the outside, Teresa was looking for support in this new chapter from her brother and sister-in-law. Melissa and Teresa's feud delayed filming for Real Housewives of New Jersey Season 14 and also kept the two from interacting throughout the current season. This made it difficult for the cast to film on a logistical level, so it can be gathered that the challenge of getting Melissa and Teresa into the same room was part of the reason why the reunion was cancelled. Unfortunately, the reunion might have been one of the most memorable of all time if it were the first time Melissa and Teresa were seen on screen together since Season 13. The entire cast is divided and taking sides. It's Team Teresa versus Team Melissa. The cast of The Real Housewives of New Jersey Season 14 has been forced to take sides in the feud between Teresa and Melissa, meaning that several voices impacted the ability to have a respectful and cordial conversation, something reunions aren't typically known for anyway. Most notably, Margaret Josephs and Rachel Fuda stand with Melissa and have their problems with Teresa, whereas Dolores Catania, Jennifer Aydin, and Jackie Goldscheider stand with Teresa. It's almost an even split down the middle, counting Friends. Teresa has been in a public feud with John Fuda, Rachel's husband, after Teresa's husband, Louis, was accused of hiring a private investigator to dig into the Fudas' personal lives. Margaret's feud with Teresa was unpacked following the Season 13 reunion when she said Teresa was dead to her after Louis supposedly called and threatened her son. So, the opposition against Teresa is not only in support of Melissa but more in support of each party's family and the issues they've had concerning their relationships with Teresa and Louis. The show is not sustainable with this dynamic. Shunning your cast mates does not make for good TV. On an episode of Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, Teresa played a game in which she voted for activities she would rather do than spend time with Melissa, and to no one's surprise, Teresa voted against Melissa every time. The options were not easy for Teresa to choose as they included things such as marrying her ex-husband, Joe, and making amends with Margaret. Although her refusal to stand down might be admirable to some, it does not make for entertaining television, as Joel Kim Booster pointed out. All episodes of Watch What Happens Live are available for listening on Apple Podcasts. Andy Cohen spoke about the cancelled reunion during the June 3 broadcast of Radio Andy, where he suggested that when he met with the producers after the season wrapped, they all agreed, the finale is kind of the finale and the reunion all in one. So the Real Housewives of New Jersey Season 14 finale will be one for the books, and Andy also hinted that Bravo was cooking something up in place of the reunion that has yet to be announced. It would be interesting to see if Andy believes the show can move forward with current dynamics as they are. Ratings have hit an all-time low. The show is suffering from this feud. According to a report from the reality TV guru, ratings for The Real Housewives of New Jersey Season 14 are the lowest they've ever been in the history of the show. For example, Episode 3 of Season 14 earned 0.69 million viewers, whereas Episode 3 of Season 13 earned 0.87 million viewers. Ratings always matter when considering a reality show's longevity because if there is no audience, there is no profit, and the cancellation of the series as a whole would mean that many of the cast members would lose their jobs. Though loyalty to the show and its cast will always play into the reason an audience tunes in, something will have to change between Teresa and Melissa for the show to move forward. Although Teresa's feuds with Margaret and Rachel might be significant, Teresa has made it clear that her line in the sand is drawn with Melissa before anyone else. So if there's any single conflict to blame for the season 14 reunion being cancelled, it's reasonable to go with the one that's been happening for the past 10 years. For the first time in Real Housewives of New Jersey history, Bravo pulled the plug on the season 14 reunion, and the shockwaves haven't stopped. In a franchise built on explosive confrontations, teary couch confessions, and Andy Cohen's signature raised eyebrow, the reunion is the crescendo fans anticipate all season long. But this time, the music stopped before it could start. Now the question on everyone's lips isn't just why, it's who's to blame. At the heart of the storm sit two familiar names, Melissa Gorga and Teresa Giudice. Sisters-in-law turned sworn enemies, their fractured relationship has long served as the backbone, and the fault line, of Real Housewives of New Jersey. But after over a decade of bitter brawls, passive-aggressive brunches, and familial fallout, have their differences finally gone too far? Let's unpack what led to the reunion's cancellation, the behind-the-scenes drama, and whether Melissa and Teresa's mutual refusal to budge brought the Real Housewives of New Jersey to a historic standstill. A reunion cancelled, Bravo breaks the formula. The reunion episodes have long been the lifeblood of the Real Housewives franchise. It's where loose ends are tied up, friendships are broken, or mended, and unfiltered truth bombs are dropped. So when Bravo announced there would be no traditional reunion for season 14, fans were stunned. Sources close to production cited one main reason: the level of division among the cast was so severe, it was deemed unproductive and potentially dangerous to film. Producers reportedly tried every route, individual sit-downs, separate green rooms, even filming on different days, but nothing could bridge the divide. And at the center of this collapse? Teresa and Melissa. Teresa versus Melissa, a decade of damage. The Teresa-Melissa feud has been simmering since Melissa joined the show in season 3. What began as tension over family loyalty quickly spiraled into a web of betrayal, gossip, and bitterness that even years of therapy, or table flipping, couldn't fix. By the time season 14 rolled around, their relationship had reached radio silence. Teresa accused Melissa and her husband Joe Gorga of betrayal after they skipped her 2022 wedding to Louis Ruelas. Melissa insisted she couldn't support a relationship that repeatedly undermined her and gaslit her on national television. Throughout the most recent season, the two barely interacted. Group events were split. Cast trips were tense. Any forced conversation quickly devolved into icy stares and cold shoulders. Gone were the days of tearful apologies and "let's start over" promises. By the finale, it was clear, they weren't just done filming together, they were done, period. Production nightmare, no common ground. According to insiders, Bravo producers attempted to mediate behind the scenes. Andy Cohen, the de facto referee of Housewives reunions, reportedly made personal calls to both women. But neither side would budge. Teresa allegedly refused to share a stage with Melissa, citing years of character assassination and claiming she was done giving her any more screen time. Melissa, for her part, is said to have told producers that filming with Teresa feels toxic and forced. With no willingness to speak, much less hash things out, producers were left with an impossible task: how do you reunite a cast that refuses to sit in the same room? Rather than risk a combative, lawsuit-laced showdown, Bravo made the rare decision to scrap the reunion entirely, opting instead for a cast reflection special hosted by Cohen, where clips will be aired, but no live confrontation will take place. Fans are divided. Who's really to blame? In the aftermath, Real Housewives of New Jersey fans took to social media, and the reaction was split. Some believe Teresa Giudice bears the blame. After all, she's the OG on the show since season 1, and many feel she's held the franchise hostage with her refusal to film with those who challenge her. Critics say she's lost interest in resolution and prefers a cast that only praises her. Teresa is treating Real Housewives of New Jersey like her personal empire, one fan tweeted. If she can't control the room, she shuts it down. Others, however, are firmly on Team Melissa. They argue she's played the long game, biding her time and slowly eroding Teresa's family loyalty with calculated moves and subtle shade. Her critics believe she only joined the show to ride Teresa's coattails, and the family feud was the price. "It's time Melissa leaves," one Reddit user wrote. "The storyline's dead. They don't speak. Why pretend anymore?" Then, there's the third camp: Bravo itself is to blame. Many believe producers leaned too hard into the Giudice Gorga drama for too many seasons and failed to nurture new, engaging storylines or dynamics. When that thread finally snapped, the show was left without a plan B. Is Real Housewives of New Jersey broken beyond repair? With the reunion scrapped and the cast divided into warring camps, Danielle Cabral and Jennifer Aydin riding with Teresa, while Margaret Josephs and Rachel Fuda back Melissa, the show feels more like a battlefield than a brunch club. There are whispers that Real Housewives of New Jersey may undergo a soft reboot, much like RHONJ did in 2023. That could mean dropping one or both of the feuding sisters-in-law, recasting, or creating separate shows, as Bravo once considered with a Giudice spin-off. Still, longtime fans feel robbed. The season 14 reunion was supposed to deliver long-awaited answers and catharsis. Instead, we got silence. Final verdict: shared blame or Bravo strategy? So, are Melissa and Teresa to blame for the cancelled reunion? Yes, but not entirely. Their unwillingness to even speak, let alone film, created an impossible environment. Both women are deeply entrenched in their side of the story. Their feud is no longer just TV drama, it's personal, painful, and likely permanent. But Bravo also deserves a share of the blame. They built Real Housewives of New Jersey on this toxic dynamic and banked on it season after season. Eventually, something had to break. And it did.